Alrighty. We should be ready to go live. Okay. And then I just need to exist. All right. So I've done a couple things since I was live with this last. One, we were of course having some performance issues in the editor, like when we would play in editor, and basically that's kind of inevitable when you're dealing with building your level geometry out of a bunch of individual meshes, which is what I was doing, because it's not like I have a current plan for the level layouts. This is just for testing, and I'm making it up as I go along for what I need. So when you have all those, they're all individual draw calls, and that adds up over time. So one of the things I did was to basically select, at the moment it's just all of the current walls, ceilings, and floors, as well as these pillars, and have them merged into a single asset. There's like a system in the engine for doing that, just naturally. And so that resulted in it creating this, which is just a singular asset, already appropriately textured. Excuse me. And actually, this little glitch isn't even noticeable in game that I could see. But we're able to then load this in place of all of those individual meshes. And there is a significant performance gain just from doing that. So, like, before we were stuttering out here, and now there's basically no stutter. So that's a significant performance gain from that. Whoop. I forgot that the spray animation's all janky. So we have significant performance gains, which means that we don't have to worry about lag being an issue when we're testing things. At least not at the moment. We'll have to merge more things later as we go. This stuff is still kind of wonky. I'm not happy about that crosshair and how it lines up with shots. You can see the further away you shoot, it is actually more accurate. I've tried to have him rotate towards... We got rid of its health, although I'm not sure why it took so long to despawn, if I'm honest. So I've tried to have him rotate towards the crosshair, kind of as you I'm not even sure he does it, though, to be honest. I can't quite tell. Let's see. We turn the debug shapes, not view, shapes Y. It doesn't seem like he actually changes his view at all, so I'm not sure. Well, you can see the trace is still off to the side there. But we're not getting a performance hiccup like every time we playtest, which is good. That means we can focus on other things. I'm about to have the first ad break. So before we actually get into doing any of the things I wanted to do this evening, we're going to let the ad run. In the next 45 seconds. There it goes. Ad break should be over. The overlay just went away. Okay, so there's a couple things that I'm looking to do. Obviously, the aiming is still kind of a problem, but I'm setting that aside for the moment. One of the things I want to work on is getting a flashlight set up. But I've come across / like sort of come to a realization of a potential hiccup in how I intended to do that originally, versus how we probably need to do it. Let me get some stuff open here. Where the devil is it? Oh, wait, no, don't close. Don't close. I need you open. Ah, crap. And of course, the freaking Epic launcher is not even open. Well, I'll start that opening, but it'll take 20 years from now to actually open where I can use the darn thing. So, maybe can find what I'm looking for on the drive. We shall see. Local device name is already... What? Can I connect to my server, please? Hello? The local device name is already in use. Connection has not been restored. What do you mean? Alright. I don't appear to be able to access my NAS for some reason. Alright, that's interesting. I wonder if we had a power outage the other day, and I have backup batteries on it. And last I looked, it had not, it did not get shut off during that, but I wonder if it didn't start the shutdown before the power came back on, and it never recovered cleanly. That would be my guess. Okay, that's annoying. Okay, well, the launcher is refusing to do its thing. One moment. I have returned. It had shut itself off at some point. Which is funny because I looked in on it during the power outage. And, or like as it came back on. And the lights were still on it. So it must have been in the process of shutting down. And it never got the cue that it needed to reboot. Oh, are you just... You're just gonna be frozen there? That's about right. So to be honest, the Epic Launcher may be trying to it may be trying to reach the projects that are stored on that server right now. That could be causing it a problem. can't even get the launcher to close. Oh, God. Closed, aren't you? Alright, it's apparently just stuck in perpetual hell, so that's just a thing that I'll have to contend with later. The server's gonna take probably a hot minute to come back up. Let me see, can I access that yet? Not just yet. It's trying though. Come on. I need access to that server. It is not the fastest thing in the world to boot. Oh, yeah, it's connected again. All right, cool. So I need... Oh, which one are you? It's probably this is probably what I'm after. I gotta sneeze. There's a light project I'm trying to access. Like it has a bunch of different like lighting samples and stuff in it. Can I now get this to try to launch? That would be helpful. it's trying. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and jump it over to library. It's not gonna load anytime soon. It's gonna take forever to actually pull in any content. Pull this over to my other screen here. The other one I'm gonna want it's not that. I'll be honest, I kind of probably need to see the thumbnails to know for sure which one I'm looking for. That's a lock-on project. All right. Well, that's going to take a minute. I could have swore it would be in here somewhere. It's also possible that I never put the project I'm looking for on the server. If that's the case, it could be on one of these other drives. Probably in here. Let's see. Spotlight reveal. It doesn't seem to be. Unless it's in this other drive. Which it doesn't look to be. So it's in there somewhere. I just have to get in here to probably find it. What would it... I hate that I named a bunch of these projects using freaking acronyms to shorten their names. Oh, I think it's this guy. Complete Lights. I think this is what I want. But effectively, what I want to do is work on a flashlight system, and the problem I have at the moment is the way I designed my equipment system, everything is sort of sharing a one of a handful of settings, basically. Where is it? Blueprints, beta. I'm just gonna use the weapon table as a option here. So if we were to look at our pistol, for instance, we're seeing weapon type in here, and of course these are, you know, it's not like I have a flashlight in here, right? But that is weapon info. But then I believe it's in here or here, where I like tell it which. Oh, here. I'm telling it like overlay states. Well, the problem with my overlay state is that the overlay state is sharing a lot of different things. So my intention would be that you'd be able to wield or have both a flashlight and a gun equipped at the same time. The flashlight going in your other hand. The problem with this in practice is that at the moment, if we go into our animation blueprint, because this was based on the advanced locomotion system, they use animation overlays, which is great. That's how we applied the gun animations. That's how we're currently using our gun animations, is with these overlay states. But it can only go into one of these at a time. And wouldn't you know it, but, well, we don't technically have flashlight in here right now. We have torch, but, I mean, we have these things, these weapons all in here together, and then we have what would be, I mean, in this case, it's an actual torch, I think, because it's left over from that system. But this would be, what would happen is you'd have it pull that overlay state. So like here, if I go, actually I do have flashlight in here, but I don't have it on the thing, so it's not going to play anything. But if I picked a torch, it actually should play something. It'll take a minute because, yeah. So that's the thing. So we don't really want to have, and like, so we have injured in here, right? But that's kind of the thing, is because we don't really want our injured state in there with our weapon, because that means we can't use the injure overlay when we're using a weapon overlay, which we might want to do. Now, what I don't know is how easy it will be to split these into sort of a 3-stage system. My line of thinking is we have the overlay state, which contains our sort of status animations. Then we have our like weapon state, and then we have our like tool state is sort of my current line of thinking. But we shall see how viable that's actually going to be. I did not mean to make a rhyme. So for starters, we're gonna have to create some stuff. Is our Our overlay state's probably still down here, right? Yeah. Now, I don't want to remove these yet. And the reason being is because if I go ahead and remove them now, we're going to break things horribly. We want to do this kind of in stages here. So we're going to start by, and there's no real reason that I want to do this. I want to move this into the character selection, so that it's with our other character stuff and I can easily find it. A lot of these others need to go there as well based on that decision, but I'll deal with that later. I just don't have to scroll all the way down in here to get to it. And it'll be a little more organized. And in fact, we do and have it follow the naming convention of this folder. Which I'm noting I messed up on these two and they don't. So. Let's see. That's done renaming. This one. That's just more for my own personal organization and sanity. Alright, so let's start a new enum in here. Character. And we're going to call this weapon overlay states. And another one called tool overlay states. I guess it doesn't be states plural because the other one's not state plural. And we can just call this the physical overlay state. I'm hoping that we'll be able to combine them. I'm actually not sure if we can. That may be too complicated. I just had a thought, which is, let me copy this name. Let me delete this. This is going to make this much easier if I duplicate and rename, and then remove the things I don't need from this one. Torch and binoculars and box and barrel. This will make life the easiest. Boop. 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 Yeah, probably that. Yeah, I can't get rid of any of these yet, because I don't want to break things. So now, do this. You're eating chocolate hobnobs while watching. Why does that... Why am I not familiar? Like, I've heard of those. I don't actually know what hobnobs are. Give me a second. Is that not a... That's not a... Ah, it's because it's an English thing. Okay. I was saying, I definitely had heard of them, but I had no idea what they were. It's like a British thing. Okay. I don't know that we have... We might have those here. They apparently carry them at the world market, which is... does have international food. Okay, so I'm gonna try to cache the pose here. I don't know why it isn't proceeding to go. Oh, I guess because it's not going to the output. Which is fine. We want to do... if I'm doing this correctly, then do this. This isn't where I want it to be ultimately. I just want to see if this causes it to pass that along. It does. Okay, cool. That's good. Because what we're actually going to do is I need a new state machine. You know, the smart thing... I'm gonna copy this. Don't you crash on me. I am trying to copy a lot of stuff at one time, so... Don't you do it. Sweet. Okay. It survived. Alright. We want to call this our weapon overlay states. Okay, and it's checking just sort of basic information here, so none of that should be problematic. And then what we can do, since we're only looking to do the weapons in here, we're going to remove any of the non-weapon values. Now, the only thing about it is, and where I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, is we've technically already got all this, right? So, hoping to pass that into here. And then these can all get entered, but it's all done differently with these. So we need to cache. Okay, it's at least passing the information along, which is good. What that should mean is now we need to get rid of these and hope that this plan works. Because that's gonna go through those. Now the thing about it is, we're taking the ad break. The thing about it is those new enums that we set aren't being controlled anywhere. So we are going to have to set a process for triggering those. We also will have to update the weapon database because it currently relies on the other enum. So but it seems like at the very least this process will work. Now whether or not the two different types of overlays will overlay rather than like conflict or override each other remains to be seen. Alright, we are back from the ad break. So, what I'm thinking is going to be the easiest way to check these is to use the reference viewer on this guy. And that will let me pull up all of our objects that are referencing it. Movement action, notify state. That's probably fine. Okay, but to be fair, I don't actually see where that one itself. Yeah, it's only getting called in because it's here on this BPI. So we don't need to change anything in here. This is strictly about movement states. Movement action, though, that might be a different story. No, that's literally just the movement action. You know, it's again same situation. It's just this guy. Okay, so camera behavior. I could see that one being relevant. Let's see. Oops. Edit, please. checks gait and stance. View mode. Okay, it's literally just because it's called there. So in some cases, we're going to find references to it where there's not actually anything to change because it's not going to be in use in those cases. We do know it's there. We don't need to change that at the moment. Those are for the HUD and the state switcher. I guess we do need to edit the character interface because it needs to be on here. Yeah. So... Oop. And then... I just had a thought. These both need to have none as their first option. At this angle, I look like a super villain plotting something. Oh, with the music? Well, it's just a playlist that keeps playing. It does play some weird stuff sometimes. It's all part of a different game's soundtrack. My camera is kind of high up, just because where it fits best. Let's see. Yeah, we need none to be in there because if you don't have something equipped, we need to be aware of that and have a handle for it. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the first one, but it makes it easier to calculate for. Oop, that's the wrong one. This one. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so... It's showing them like they're defaulting to other values, but I don't think that actually matters so much. Essential values, it's not one of those. Now, there is this. So what we should probably do is create one for each of the other overlays. Just to help keep things from getting confusing, we'll update this name as well. Okay, and then so that gets the interface updated. Our character blueprint is another place that this needs to be modified. Oh no. Don't you crash on me. Don't you do it. Come on. You can do it. Figure yourself out. Come on now. Oh, there it went. It died. Now, the downside is I don't know when I last saved the animation blueprint. We didn't do that much to it yet. So, the other stuff I had saved. So we didn't lose any, like, shouldn't have lost any major progress. But now we do get to sit and wait for it to reopen, which is a whole thing. this to load, please. That'll be the big thing. We got to make sure that we update weapons and the references to that stuff from the character blueprint. That'll probably be where most of the changes have to happen. Why are there a bunch of assets that have been saved with an empty engine version? What are you complaining about? I mean, that shouldn't be the case. I guess some of that's from when, let's see, 8 minutes ago, character interface was the last save, it looks like. Yes, let's reopen. Oh, did it, like... Oh, is that what it's mad about? That's probably why it crashed. Which is weird. Okay. I guess in retrospect, renaming that thing was maybe not the best decision. It seemed like it was going to be fine, but that seems to have made it quite angry. It should have renamed that stuff. But fine. I can undo that particular change. And then the only place that I updated it was in here. Okay. We're not mad about things anymore? Good. In any case, this needs to be done differently. So, among other things, oh jeez. Yeah, there's this thing. Okay. And then gets overlay state. Let's see. That, and then... Tool overlay. State values. Oop. Okay. It's those. We do want to find anywhere in here that we're dealing with the overlay state stuff. Get yes, because it's only in, it's a local variable. So it's only in here. Cool. And then and then we need to back over here. Event API set weapon overlay state. ML is different. Weapon overlay state. On weapon overlay state changed. And then Same with this one. Edit there, on tool, overlay state changed. And then this has got to be the tool, overlay state. Cool. That gets those set. Set these. This is on begin play, so theoretically we don't need to set these. Because they should always be none anyway. If things make any sort of sense whatsoever. But we'll set them to be safe. I guess if it were to be loading a save, that might come in handy. So we'll get there. Roll animation. Open overlay state change. Tool overlay state changed. Current states. Okay. I think that handles the base character. So then we get the web and overlay state. And do a switch on that. And then, so then from here, rifle, pistol, bow, fists, knife, rifle hip, RPG, oops, thrown, crossbow, and then Oops. That part's fine. Weapon overlay state. Switch. And then, so then we need to move. Go to here. Pistol two-handed. Pistol one-handed. Rifle. And then barrel, box, binoculars, torch. Okay, that should swap those up. Again, assuming I'm understanding this all correctly and predicting how it'll work. On overlay state change. I guess this isn't necessarily being called, but that does mean that we need to override it and do one of these for each of them. Update held object. There we go. Oh, we got an ad break. Let's see. About 50 seconds left on the ad break. we should be coming back from ads in the next like 10 seconds. Cool. We appear to be back from ads. Okay, so we can do this for our sequence here. Now, the only thing that could be an issue with these sequences, the way I'm doing these sequences, with this change, is what it actually means is that the last animation in the sequence would be the one that gets used. So that may or may not be a good thing. But more to the point, I'm going to have to probably come back in and add more animations to these things. So that's fine. A lot of them were missing animations to begin with. Not select, switch. Rifle. I'm hoping that in the grand scheme of things, it won't make a huge difference, because functionally, once I make this change, if it was going to reach one of these guys, like one of the weapons animations, it was going to reach it no matter what. So that should hopefully work no matter what, but we'll have to see. Now we're going to have to make some adjustments to this. Switch based on this guy. Oops. Two-handed, then bow, and then I need a tool. these. And then we should be able to just move these. Boop, boop, and boop. Okay, so that takes care of those. Update object held animations. Well, this doesn't have anything in it, so we can deal with that at a later point, I suppose. I think that means we've got these pretty well covered then. I do want to there's our data tables. I've got to update that because presently it's based on the other overlay one, and it needs to be outputting our pistol two-hand, which should be 3. For its animation instead of 7. Okay, but this now I need to make sure I do then is it needs to be storing these variables as well. And then if we're covering that, I'll need to look at updating this as well, but that'll be fine. So info. Set overlay state. Yeah, that's fine. Those are good. The overlay layer, overlay states. Okay, so this is our default. I want to save this, but I want to double check and see if it has. Okay, we did not save any of the stuff we were doing before. Cool. Then what I need to do is cached pose. And then compile this and save it just so we don't lose, because it freaked out when we cloned the state machine. And we got to do that twice. So, boop. Take a minute, assuming it doesn't crash on us this time, but it didn't the first time we did it, so I have hope. There it goes. Alright, weapon overlay states. Okay, get rid of all this. Physical overlay pose. And basically, we need this to be replaced by our weapon overlay state. Okay. A pistol, two-hand. RPG. Rifle hip, and then fists. Baseball. Baseball. Knife. Throne. You still have to add the crossbow later. That's the advantage to this, is it would be easier to add things. Okay, so that should be handling all of the weapon overlays now. I'm going to save it again. Then, I don't think we need another one of these inertializations. Could be wrong. I guess we can put one in there, see what happens. Cache, pose, weapon, overlay pose. Because this also means that we can like have altered animations when certain things are done together. Since we're going to have these different states for these. And then we need to copy this guy again. my hope is going to be that this means we'll be able to do like injured and holding your pistol at the same time without anything crazy happening, or without having to create like a custom animation of that. We'll be able to just layer those animations together. The blending of the animations may not work right away. That's where I have some concern. We'll have to see. Like, even if it makes the injured animation less obvious, it would still, I think, be beneficial. Tool, overlay states. We want to get rid of those, as well as these. And these. And then in here, get rid of this guy. We're going to bring the output from weapon overlay pose. Bring that in. Tool overlay state. And then copy that. Not equal to none. These copied in. And like some of the things I have in here, we probably won't even use. These are just sample animations, basically. Like, I don't think at any point there's really a reason to have binoculars in the game, because it's not that big of a like world. But it's one of the sample animations I have, so that's what we're dealing with right now. And it makes a good test case for different usable items. Yeah, I know that the box and the barrel are not technically considered tools in any way, but again, another good test case here. Okay, those are all saved. We'll do that, and then output. And then what we should be able to do is remove these and these. And these. Because the rest of these are all now getting handled by the other systems. So, I'm going to save this real quick. Let's do this for some organizational sake. Now, what I'm assuming should happen is if I set the values appropriately, we should see something in regards to our animation here. If everything's already been changed out properly. So we'll say pistol. Okay, pistol animation is there. And what if I said torch? Okay, so there is gonna be a situation with that. And I guess that's because, at least the way it's currently programmed, that animation is affecting the other hand. Okay. What if I set that to injured? Okay. Interesting. Okay. I kind of thought that's what was going to happen. I was just curious. So I wonder if there's anything we can change about the asset to make it... Oh, none of that, please. All right, it doesn't like that. day flickers in and out of existence. So that's an additive to it, I believe, which would explain why that doesn't work. I mean, the only thing I could think is maybe instead of blending the secondary motion, you blend the physical overlay pose. Nope. I've made a monstrosity. That's definitely not it. I guess because they're all poses? Interesting. Oh, that is interesting. Because that implies all right. I mean, the only thing I could maybe think at this state would be there's gotta be something that's preventing it from queuing up over here. Which is interesting. Input pose, overlay layer input. That's where it's sorting animations into different layers. This is interesting. Does the inertialization have anything to do with it? Interesting. So, with its current state, when the weapon, when it's chosen, it is actually resulting in it not using the overlay state at all. I wonder why that would be. An ad break. I did not see it coming. Okay, ad break's over. We get those states there, but that shouldn't be the problem. I guess I can find all of the references to overlay state. Because this is interesting. It would almost seem like overlay switcher is a thing, but that's not concerning. Interesting. That and that and that should do. That's that. Interesting. Maybe there's a placeholder somewhere that's filled in. That seems like that would be the most likely scenario. Alright, I'm gonna do something which is a terrible idea, actually, if I'm entirely honest. We are going to come in here and get rid of the other values. That should mean that this one will only have the physical values. Oh, it got mad about something. Okay. Something was referencing something. Most likely. Assertion failed is valid. From a widget? Oh, okay. No, I think I maybe know. It might be there's an overlay selection widget, and I bet you it's still loading those in some manual fashion or some like hard-coded fashion. That's unfortunate. That's going to take a while to open. And it is almost 10 o'clock. So... don't know that I'm going to sit here and wait for that to reopen. Because that sounds like it's going to take a little bit. And then I'll have to figure out the animation overlay. I think it's going to be possible, but I'm unsure as to the exact trick I'll have to pull for that one. Let's see. Taking so much time. I do kind of want to see this, at least this part through, and see if that makes any difference. I don't think that the overlay selector could be causing the problem, but I guess I could be wrong. I mean, it caused the crash, I'm sure, but I'm not sure that it would have anything to do with why the other stuff was not getting selected. Project files out of date. What the hell do you mean? Alright, open those. Oh, jeez. Close that. Do this as a shortcut. I don't think it's gonna be this one. I think it's gonna be the switcher. I think this is literally just a button. Yeah, there's nothing fancy in this one. It's all gonna be in this. I mean, it's only referencing that, so that's interesting. Because that means it shouldn't actually care what the values are. But something got mad about me deleting values out of here. I'm going to delete them a little bit at a time until it gets angry. We shall find our problem. Also compile these and see if it gives any errors. So far, no. Oh, I am curious of something. So, if I select pistol, this disconnects. If I select torch, it does happen. Whatever the situation is happening here, it is handling it in such a way that the last one selected is what it uses. Now, I could move these off into another, like, blending thing, maybe? I don't know. Are you mad about anything yet? No? Neither of you are mad about anything. Boop. 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 Okay, I don't expect anything to play correctly, or like the animations to play correctly, but I want to try to play the game, see if anything crashes. For starters. Okay, that part works. Something got mad. Why does it currently think it's in an injured state? Default to no initialization node found for request from transition default to pistol two-handed and state machine weapon overlay states. So it does want these. You know, I didn't do anything with it here. That would have at least been part of our issue. I'm not sure from a UI standpoint why those... let's see. Not that. Boop. Ah, that's right. That's why. There. Now it should. That part should look correct. Yep. But I still don't expect the... Well, you know what I can try? Because the switcher's just for the physical overlay. So let's just see what happens in-game with all of the different factors. I'll be honest, I don't know that... Yeah, like it, you can technically select things, but it doesn't actually, it's not doing anything. Okay, so I have an idea, which is... Firstly, to check on some things in here. Guarded entry state, trapped hips direction. Information for weapons. Okay. Date graph. It gets the character information, that's all good. Anim graph. So I'm thinking maybe set a weapon layer and then cut these out of here. Can I not? Cut. The thing about it is, I don't think I want to have Okay, and then ungrouped. Get rid of this. Bring that straight back in there. We'll do a tool layer. Yay. Alright, well, I might have to redo that stuff. But it crashed. So, we're about, in like 10 minutes we would end up with another ad, so I think it's probably as good a time as any to call that for the evening. Let's see. Who we can get. Guess we'll check on Zen. He looks like he's playing Zelda. So we'll do that. And I'll try to get this fixed for Thursday. And hopefully even get the animation thing figured out. So, have a good night.